What's your full name?
Claude B. Quinn Jr.
Okay. And your birth date?
3/20/23. I'm sorry.
It's just a test.
Forget when you was born.
It was 7/20/23, right?
Yeah.
7/20/23.
7 instead. Did I say 3?
Yeah.
It's 7 July.
And you served during World War II, you served in what branch of the service?
I served in the what they call the old Air Corps.
Yeah.
Years back. It's Air Forces now.
Yeah, do you remember, what was your rank?
Pardon?
Your rank?
My rank?
Yes, sir.
I was a little measly corporal. I didn't get promoted very fast.
And what unit were you in?
What group was I in?
Yeah.
I was within an MP group in a guard squadron for the first permanent Air Corps we called it. And I was an MP in there. So I rode a motorcycle.
Oh, really?
I had one here at home, so I gave it to my brother, an old 36 Harley.
How about that?
And so I gave it to him when I started overseas.
Wouldn't you like to have that back?
Yeah, wouldn't I though? I didn't even ride it at my age.
And what unit of the Air Corps were you in?
Yeah, he was 1084 Guard Squadron MPs.
Okay, was it? Did you
And
tell
that
me?
was in Newport, Arkansas.
Okay. Well, that's before you left to go overseas.
That was after basic training in Selma, Alabama. And we had 6 weeks training. Then they sent us to Newport, Arkansas, and we started building airfields. That's when I started being attached to other units.
Okay.
We built a runway in 30 days that the English had been on 4 months. And they said we worked too hard, but it was their war, it wasn't ours.
Worked too hard. I'm going to back up a little bit. Where did you grow up?
After basic training?
No, where did you grow up? Where were you born?
Pratt City.
Birmingham, Alabama, Pratt City.
Oh.
I'm within 3 miles of where I was born and raised.
Right now, we're within 3 miles. How about that?
Close that blind, will you, Christy? That one over yonder, that thing is...
Right in your eyes, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Just tilt them a little. That's better. Is that gonna mess your
No, that's good.
lighting up?
That's fine.
Yeah, thank you. Now, I'm sorry.
No problem. So you grew up here in Pratt City, suburb of Birmingham.
That's right. One of the oldest cities in Birmingham.
Oh, I didn't know
Pratt
that.
City. Little mining town.
How long were you here?
How long was
Did you still live here when you went into the service?
No, I live here in Pratt City in Birmingham. I never lived anywhere else.
Oh, okay. So how old were you when you joined up?
I was 19 when I joined the Air Force.
And
I thought I wanted to be a pilot, so I took the exam for it and passed it.
really?
And my mother was just scared to death I'd get killed before I got back. She talked me out of it, so. And I was glad she did. It helped her. And
So you went to basic training in Selma, Alabama?
yeah, I went basic training in Selma, Alabama. It's an airfield there for the Air Force.
Was that
Craig Field.
Craig
is the name
Field?
of it, yes.
I just went there a few weeks ago. A friend of mine is a pilot, and we flew from Shelby County Airport down and landed at Craig Field.
How about that?
And
I'd
saw.
love to go in down there.
It was pretty interesting. It's a huge air base, and with one long runway still operating. But we got to go see the old air tower and the main office there. I think we were the only ones there.
We took basic training there, and we were told that as we went through and they issued us our clothes and shoes, I wore an 8C in a shoe. Well, they gave me a 10 WWII and to take basic training in. I had blisters were on top of blisters, and they said that was all they had was left was 10 WWIIs. So I took it and toughed it out, but I had blisters from it. My feet's been aching ever since.
Oh goodness. I just bought some of the Corcoran jump boots, just like they had back then, and I've got to wear them a lot so I can break them in. But it's going to take a while.
I had a pair of GI issue in Germany. When you're talking about shoes, and they were they had an old cobbler in there that these shoes we had metatarsals that covered them, and so I got an old cobbler there in Germany to take those steel, whatever you call them, off of the shoes. And man, he built them up for me, and I had a beautiful pair of boots. and didn't charge me anything, this German cobbler. Now we'll go back.
Very good. So can you tell me kind of, or take me through the sequence of where you went from after basic training?
Okay. All right, basic training, we were shipped from Craig Field to Newport, Arkansas, and we built a new airfield there, really. We poured the concrete runways, and so we got to that one started, and we opened that field, and I stayed there till ship started to go overseas, and that was in if I can remember the date. I don't remember dates too well, but we went from to Newport, and that's where I rode a motorcycle. I was an MP around the base in the town, but I didn't get to get a motorcycle till after we got those runways built. So they issued me a new motorcycle, and because I could ride one. We did that, and then we stayed there, until it was through 1943, and then they were talking about the war had started, and so they were sending us to Chicago. We had to go to Chicago from there and stayed a week. They put us on a train, took us to New Brunswick, New Jersey, and we stayed there and in New York 25 days. But we were staying in the excuse me. Yeah, we were staying there, and the reason we stayed in New York that long, someone in our group took the mumps. So the rest of us that didn't have the mumps, we could go to New York or anywhere we wanted to go, because we were from deep south, man. We were from grits country, And those guys used to make fun of us, and we would just make fun of them back and just tell them what they were missing and if they didn't like grits. And so we went from, stayed there until they let us come home for Christmas and spend 2 or 3 days, because they said it'd probably be our last one for a while. And then went back, and that's when they shipped me to Chicago, and from there to New Jersey. And then New Jersey, we stayed there 25 months, and so I went back to New York 2 or 3 times just as a tourister. And so they were on a Isle de France ship. We were put on it finally, and we were aboard that ship 11 days, I believe it was, going from New York to, it landed in Scotland, Glasgow, Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put us on a train there and sent us to Liverpool, England. And then went on down there, and then that's where we started building that base at Wharton. And in the meantime, it was 1917, I guess you would call it. And they were, had used 24s and 17s at that base. We supplied them with everything they need for the invasion and got ready for it. And so that's when I messed up my heel with a forklift and run up the back of me. We were stacking parachutes, I think, or either jackets. We handled clothing and tools, things like that, in the supply unit. And so we stayed there till they sent us to Europe. And then right after I got to Europe, I did get to be in a what do you call these? It was a military funeral. We had one of our B-17s crashed into a school just joining our base.
Oh.
Killed 34 children and,
wow.
and 8 teachers.
My goodness.
And so.
What base was that?
Pardon?
What was the name of that base?
BAD-2, Base Air Depot number 2. And it was 2 of them, one in Manchester and one in Wharton, England.
Okay.
And so, to make a long story short about that, after those children, and we got over the war, we decided to build a memorial for those children and those teachers. So we built one down here in Puller, Alabama, just out of Savannah, Georgia. And it's an 8th Air Force base, 8th museum there at Puller, Georgia. And so we made one, and then we made another one there at this little town of Wharton, where the children's school was at. I have some pictures of it over there.
Okay.
And so those 8th Air Force keeps this one up down here in Fuller, Georgia. But we got to see that when we went back on our reunion in England, one over there, and then we were on one of our reunions. We had it at Savannah, and we stayed in a hotel there 4 days.
Okay.
Excuse me. So we went from there back to, we went somewhere every year for a long time on an Air Force reunion. We even took one trip back to England on our 50th anniversary. And we had the English officer over that base. He fed us lunch while we were there. He gave every one of the men a tie to dress tie work. And what did he give to the women? It was something he gave you guys. I don't remember it, but they put on the royal for us, the English group. and we enjoyed it. It was a real nice trip. Go back and see what it looked like now and what it did then.
Yeah.
Well, we stayed in England there for a long time, and then they had needed some help over on the French side. So here we go again as a casual, and there was some of my buddies went with me. They placed us over there, and so and that's when the war was just about over when we went in. I didn't do any fighting, but I did get a cut from a building I was in. I don't know whether it was we don't know whether it was a roadside bomb or what went off, but something did and knocked windows out of that building, cut this tendon here. Mm-hmm. Well, they put me in another hospital for about 3 days. They pumped it up full of sulfa, and that's the only drug that we had. Penicillin wasn't out. They had morphine and sulfa, and that was the two major medical medicines.
Yeah.
So I stayed in the hospital 3 days on that one. Then they sent us back. No, we stayed there in Ansbach, Germany, and we were sent. They had. I can't remember exactly just what they done, but they were gonna. It was so close that the war was nearly ended. And so I didn't. We set up a number of PW camps, mm-hmm. and have kept them. And we came from there. I didn't have enough what they call points, being over there that long, and because there was some was older than I was, and they got to come home first and should have. And that's when they give me a 7-day convalescent leave. One of my buddies now. That's where we went back to Scotland, had a joyful week, real nice. And we got a flight back, going back, Army Air Corps, go back to Germany. Well, they was starting that Nuremberg, trying to build it up, the officers and that was. So I was assigned to another lieutenant, just 1-in-1 outfit, they called it, because I was an ex-MP.
Okay.
I drove his Jeep around, at different places, and before I left there, they had opened the mess hall for our people, and they let the Russians come in, and they were going to be in some of the trials if we ever got it set up. So we got the excuse me. We got that set up, and we went back, went on our convalescent, come back. Then they decided to give us 6 weeks training to go to Japan. Well, I really didn't want to go to Japan. I wanted to go home more than anything else. And they said I'd been gone 17 months, and that we had to take that 6 weeks training. And when the training for it was quite over, the Japanese war ended. And that was another happy day.
Thank goodness.
Well, that's when they offered me a chance to go to school in Erlangen University if I wanted to attend school. I told them I wanted to go back home and start back to school. So I did. I come back home, and I turned them down. I didn't want to go to school over there. And so we went from there when I met her down in Tuscaloosa. Now, we didn't go to the Crazy Farm. We didn't go. You ever hear of the Crazy Farm in Tuscaloosa?
Oh, the
Price's Hospital used to be but I met her, and
All right, tell him what.
I do. She was a good cook.
I was working.
She was
I
working
fed him.
two jobs. She was a hostess in one restaurant down there in Tuscaloosa. She worked in a paper mill making paper.
Okay.
And so I said, she's a keeper. So we got married, And we went a couple of years down there, and then we had to come home. She got sick. So I said, well, we get situated and get us a house, I'll go back to school. Well, when the next semester started, I signed up, me and brother and I both. So we went to school, and he played football down there till he and one of the coaches got into a cuss fight.
Uh-oh.
He told him, he said, he wanted to come home with me that weekend. We were both running out of money. So he went to the coach and told him, he said, you can't go. So we got to practice. He said, I didn't say anything. He said, I just went home. I come back. He said, I went back out there Monday, and he told me I didn't have a job. He said, I know it because I'd already quit. He said, my daddy didn't curse me, and you're not going to. So they got that settled, and he called a friend of his at Auburn, and they offered him a full scholarship.
Really?
And he got down there in the first week of that, he tore his shoulder up. Never did get to play a day. So he done that, and he was the reason that I got out of the Air Force and joined the Marines. He was a Marine.
Oh.
And he got wounded in the war, but not too seriously. And went from there, went on to school and got everything situated. So I went to work in the steel mill before I did any of this military goings on, and so we got we moved back here to Birmingham, and I went out there to U.S. Steel, where I was employed before I went in service. And I told them, I said, well, I'm back. And they said, well, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'm on need a job. Said, I don't have one. He said, yes, you do. Said, you got one still here if you want it. And said, we had to hold it for you. I said, I'll take it. So I went to work out there, and then when I had 44 and a half years with retirement. And all of my military time, they bridged together, and all of my military time, they bridged together.
Wow. So
when I got ready for my pension and retirement, that's when we got it all figured up. And I've been retired now over 35 years, enjoyed every day of it, till we both went to falling.
Yeah.
So but I'm gonna tell off on her now. You guys will get a kick out of it. She was, go ahead and answer it, Chris. We were looking for a little house, and before you leave, I want to show you this one. I got a picture on the refrigerator.
Yeah.
What it looked like. It was a brand new house. Now we had a friend of ours build it, and he said, she said, the only two things I want in a house, I won't argue on anything else, is a bathroom in the house and hardwood floors. Well, I got both of them. And so everybody I've told that to got a kick out of it. But we did something every year for 25, 30 years on it. And she and I did most of it. Where she's sitting was a porch. You'll see it in that picture in there.
Okay.
And it's over a concrete floor. And I learned to do a lot of things. My brother built houses. I'd get stuck. I'd call him. He'd get us started. And I've got a full basement. I've got 2 bedrooms down there. No, 1 big bedroom, good one, side one, and a freezer room which could be used as a bedroom. And then I got a utility room. All of our washing stuff's down there.
So the house you're talking about is this one,
and
right?
I did every bit of that.
Yeah.
Me and one
This
black
was
man.
a wall right here.
Yeah, that was a
and that was
wall.
a porch.
Okay.
And that was a porch. And so.
So what year did you move in here?
53.
Okay.
They finished it in 53. And I had a little full furnace in the center in there, and had a hot water tank in the kitchen. So first thing I done, I dug a 8 by 8, and poured a slab myself, and where I could get that hot water tank out of the kitchen, and I got me a black man that I told him what I wanted to do, and he said, "Mr. Quinn, I'll come off days and help you dig." We dug it with a pick and shovel, every bit of this, and I got a full basement. But I stayed out from the foundation 36 inches and poured that concrete, the width of a 2x4, all the way around the top. Built cabinets above it,
Mm-hmm.
and she and I did every bit of it, all of it.
Wow.
I put 2-foot eaves all the way around it. So we wound up pretty good carpenters.
Yeah,
But I want to show you that picture of that old house in there.
Yeah.
Old, it was new, but
Oh.
it had the hardwood flare and it had a bathroom in the house. So that was the extent of ours, and then we had the 2 children, and Lord blessed us there. Okay, can't complain. We got that. He took them on, and so, but our son, he loved to draw. He was a paint. He started him a paint business, and he wanted to go to string this where Barney and Balaam's circus is in Florida.
Yeah.
There's a university there,
Right.
artist, and I forget the name of it. And he had sent his tuition in, he sent his board money, and when he got ready to go, he graduated. They hadn't sent his grades. They were supposed to send his grades to the Ringling Brothers.
Yeah.
That School of Art.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
And so he just come back and started artist on his own. And our daughter, she didn't want to go to school. She finished high school, and he's married again. Her husband has. He lives in Houston, Texas. That's about all I know. What we got left. Now I'll show you some of this stuff on the table.
Okay.